Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. I hope everyone is doing well out there this morning and having a great start to your day. Great weekend out there so far. Here to give you some updated information on what's going to happen weather-wise for your Sunday. We'll speak on a couple things, one being a lot of rain across Florida, even a small severe weather threat for the southern tip of Florida. A little bit of Great Lakes snow flying around out there. This snow will continue to fall in certain sections of like New York State. And then we got some moisture out west, but we have a bigger piece of energy that's going to move onshore and especially affect California. We're going to get pretty detailed for you folks on California, show some individual graphics from your local National Weather Service region. There's multiple ones, obviously, in California being such a large state. So we'll kind of slow the video down once we get to that section of the video, kind of let you guys read over some of these graphics and discussions they're talking about, because it is important to read these because there's a lot of microclimates out west, right? Depending on elevation, you could be getting snow, lower elevation rain, somewhere in between, a mixture of both. A lot of winds. Obviously, winds are higher than the higher elevation. So, it's always a tricky thing to talk about. That's why I've always just kind of shied away from out west, because I'm big on detail, guys. I'm not somebody that likes to jump on here for 5 to 10 minutes and kind of brush over the entire lower 48 in 10 minutes. I like to get detailed. If I can't get detailed, it's in a way I kind of shy away from talking about it, because that's what I like to do. I like to get detailed. So I'm trying to do that more and more for you folks out west, and I'm starting to learn a little bit more just about things in general. Just getting a little bit more comfortable doing it. So with all that being said, we will speak a little bit on the pattern coming up, kind of just show you all the energy flying around over the next 7 to 10 days. I'm not going to go past 10 days. I'm staying true to that until I can build some trust back in these models in the long range. It's wild to me. There's still people just sharing these extended forecasts on social media after the huge rug it just kind of snatched out from under us with this late February pattern being a complete dud, really speaking on the southeast. So I'm not going to go past 10 days just because the confidence is low. But we'll speak on some good details on what's coming up as far as storm systems and just the pattern in general. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling. So we got a lot of rain. It's really just taken over Florida. It's been raining since yesterday. It's going to continue to rain all day today. It's going to mess up any activities. I'm not even sure. I think maybe they've canceled the Daytona 500. I'm not completely sure. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't keep tracking NASCAR much. But anyways, the entire state of Florida is at least seeing rain right now. If you're not seeing rain, you probably will see it. It will begin to dry out a little bit in the western panhandle of Florida today, but we got some storms that are going to make its way. You can already see them out in the Gulf of Mexico. Will make its way into the southern tip of Florida. A little bit of a severe weather threat today. There is some energy just flying around across the Great Lakes region. Enough cold air spilling over these Great Lakes to generate some lake effect snow. It's been so warm up here that really there's not any ice coverage from what I understand. If there is, it's not much at all. But we got lake effect snows that are still ongoing right now across the Great Lakes region. We'll speak on that. A little bit of moisture still lingering here from the first system that moved into the west coast. We got some snow in the central Rockies, a little bit of rain in lower elevations, but we will start to see the radar get a lot more filled up in California a little bit later this afternoon for sure. So Storm Prediction Center today, the only area that we will watch out for, there will be some thunderstorms, most likely, into central and northern California. But as far as severe weather, we just got to watch out down here in Miami. Got some movement on the side of my screen here. Right down here in Miami, we got some a chance for some severe storms. There's actually a 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location down there. And I really think this will happen from this cluster of storms that'll push through in the southern tip of the peninsula of Florida a little bit later this morning into this afternoon. We will zoom into you folks here in South Florida and just kind of get you guys a better timeline of of when these storms could push through. But that's pretty much the only thing as far as severe weather we need to worry about today, honestly. As far as flooding now, today there is that moderate risk of flash flooding that's going to really get going a little bit later and in the 24-hour period, like in kind of in the last 12 hours. Really getting into tonight, the flooding threat will really begin to rise in this area. There is a moderate risk, which means there's at least a 40% chance of flash flood guidance being met within 25 miles in a given location. There is a slight risk, which means there's a 15% chance of that same criteria, and that does include San Fran and LA. You don't have a really big flooding risk between now and the next 24 hours. It'll increase a little bit more tomorrow for sure, but we got to watch out for flooding. That's a big storyline today in certain sections of California for sure. Watches, warnings, advisories. This favorite area of high winds in Wyoming. It doesn't take much in this region, but you do have those high wind warnings in those areas. It'll be very breezy in Wyoming today, especially southeast and eastern areas of Wyoming. But as you can tell, you got these flood watches up for the areas in green. This goes all the way down to San Diego and pretty much all the way up into the northern California coastline and inward too into the valley regions of California. Winter storm warnings up for the Sierra Nevada, and then we have high wind watches up for the northern California coastline, and high wind warnings have already been issued for those higher peaks, kind of north and higher mountain ranges north of the LA region, right into that area. The middle of the country is pretty quiet. We do have some lingering winter weather advisories that will probably just hang around throughout the next 24 hours from this lake effect snows that continue to impact this region. But moving forward here, let's talk about the southeast. Honestly, the only topic really, the only area of concern, I guess you would say, is just a persistent rain across Florida. I mean, we're getting into later this morning. It's still raining pretty good all the way up to Jacksonville. Raining pretty good in the central peninsula of Florida. And as you can tell, once you get a little bit further south, the rain gets heavier, and then you have a higher severe weather threat. And you got this low moving in, and just south of the low, there will be a corridor. You see this low right here? Very, very far south. Anybody south of this low is going to have some ingredients for some severe weather this afternoon. You got this kind of this thin line of storms moving in, and you're going to have a brief tornado threat in this area for about a few hour period later on this afternoon. But, and then we get this evening, and finally, as we get into the overnight hours, I think you're going to wake up to still some lingering showers in Florida, certain parts of Florida. But I think that, the majority of the system is heading on off, and then we're done with it. But we could still deal with some lingering showers, especially for the eastern sections of Florida, as we are getting into tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. But a closer look at our friends down here in South Florida. It's not very active out there as of right now, but as we start to move into later this morning, like this is around 11 a.m., we got some thunderstorms potentially impacting the Miami area and surrounding regions. And then we got this line of thunderstorms. The low is directly north of this, and we just got to watch any of these storms right into here. This is getting into about 3 to 5 p.m. You see the darker colors right in here of the reds and oranges. This indicates just where you have more in the way of storms. Up here, a little bit further north in central Florida, it's more so just kind of a steady, moderate to heavy rain. But down here is where you could have those thunderstorms. So watch out in Miami if you're doing anything this afternoon and you're waking up. There ain't a whole lot going on down here thinking it's going to be, a rain-free day. That is not the case. You're going to get some thunderstorms down here for sure. So, don't be surprised you get a tornado warning or something like that. Don't let it catch you by surprise, because there is a risk, very small risk, but there is a risk of a tornado or two today. So, as far as rainfall, a couple inches of rain is expected between now and tomorrow evening in Florida. You've already gotten a few inches of rain here in Florida, but you're going to get a couple more inches just between now and the next probably 36 hours. So, it looks like it's favored towards kind of the southern section of the peninsula of Florida, but everybody in the peninsula of Florida will just get another at least half inch to inch and a half to 2 inches of rain, depending on your location. So, up here in the northeast, you're dealing with the lake effect snow right now. It's really hitting areas along the Tug Hill Plateau, points north really. You got a band of snow into the Adirondacks. This will continue to really impact this section right here of New York State, where you guys will get another several inches of snow. And then we're going to get this pretty intense band of snow that's probably going to produce some snow squalls, or just one giant snow squall throughout like the Ontario, southern Ontario region. You see this snow squall right here moving through the area. This is probably going to be an intense little line of snow And I wouldn't even call it little either. It could be pretty. I mean, it's going to be little as far as how quickly it moves in and out, but it's still going to pack a punch. Probably going to catch some people by surprise. And then this can move all the way over portions of Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, and then look at this thing right here. This could affect like Rochester, moving to the Syracuse region, might get all the way down to the Finger Lakes area, and then it kind of fizzles out once we get into this evening. And yeah, by the time we're waking up Monday morning, a lot more quieter conditions. But we're going to be dealing with just some blustery conditions, some snow squalls that are possible, especially for northern New York State, and even some lake effect snow bands coming off Erie is possible for a very brief time period. So you guys could continue to add up in certain areas some snowfall accumulations, but no big consolidated area of snow really anywhere. And just between now and the next 24 hours is the blend of all models. Maybe another dusting of snow outside these favorite areas. This big band will kind of move through this region right in here. Rochester could get a little bit more snow than what's forecast, but of course the Tuckhill Plateau points north. You guys are going to get another few to several inches of snow depending on where you are and where this band sets up. But some snow in southern Ontario in this region too. But you could get some dusting amounts depending on how, I guess, far east these lake effect snow bands kind of drift throughout the Northeast. So the South Central U.S., it's very quiet today. There's not a whole lot going on at all. We're getting into this afternoon. We're getting into this evening, the overnight hours, all the way through our Monday morning, and there's not anything going on. Enjoy your nice Sunday. There's nothing really to speak on in this area. I gave you y'all's 15 seconds of fame there. That's about all we got here. The North Central U.S., the only thing we'll watch for is just the continuation of these lake effect snow bands up here in central and eastern sections of the UP of Michigan. These will drift all the way into northern and lower Michigan and give you guys maybe a dusting of snow to a couple inches, depending on if you continue to get hit by snow bands over and over again. And you will continue to just get this lake effect snow bands in the eastern UP of Michigan throughout the afternoon, through this evening. They could be intense all the way through the overnight hours. And then we're waking up tomorrow morning. I think it'll be much quieter as far as snow. But you guys have definitely gotten back to more of a wintry look up here, especially in the eastern UP of Michigan over the last few days. So if you're a winter weather fan, I know there's a lot of businesses up here, from what I hear, that really need that snow. So it's good that you're getting it. A few to several inches of snow is possible to add up to everything that you've already got up here over the next 24 hours. A dusting of snow is possible down here, a few tenths of an inch in central to even southern Michigan. Someone could squeeze in an inch here in northern Michigan. So we continue to move out to the west. This will be a heavy topic in this video. We're dealing with some moisture in Idaho and even Nevada, northern Utah, Oregon, a little bit in Washington. And this will continue to kind of trail off to the northeast and try to move into western Montana, deliver a little bit of snow. Snow will continue throughout portions of Idaho today. And then our big system moves in. This low is way out here, but you'll begin to get this kind of east quadrant of all this moisture. And this is why we can get thunderstorms. We're going to get a rise of moisture into this region. And this is getting into early this afternoon, into the middle of the afternoon. We got some thunderstorms making its way into California. And we'll just kind of take the broad look at this. We'll kind of zoom into this here in a second. But there's a lot of moisture just making its way into central and northern California. Even some moisture getting into sections of Oregon too. And this will continue. And you might get some breaks in northern California. And this is a pretty strong low, guys. 988 millibar low. And then we start to get into tomorrow morning. A little bit of a break, but we're still getting a surge of moisture all the way down into starting to get into the southern California coastline. And then this is when we can have a severe weather threat. We'll briefly talk about this in this video. But this is when we can have a severe weather threat down, up here in northern and central California, especially in the Valley region. Sacramento, it's going to be a bigger city that's going to get impacted with this. We'll have a legit tornado threat tomorrow. And here it is. Here's what the radar looks like. In fact, we're going to kind of zoom into this on the fly for you folks. And I don't know why I didn't already have this pulled up. So it must have just been a panel that I missed to pull up for you guys. But, we kind of go back to the HRRR model and look at this. And here's just a closer look at California. Here's the moisture moving in. This is around, just after lunchtime today out here. And you guys, it's time zone time. And here it comes. A lot of rain. A lot of storm activity too. Like some of this is going to be thunderstorms up here along the California coastline, and you're getting this surge of moisture into the central California coastline too, south of San Francisco. I think it'll stay dry for most of the day down here in like Los Angeles, San Diego especially, but you start to see the higher elevation snow beginning to add up. And then you get this first really intense push of moisture that moves in. You guys continue to get hit hard right into here. Was that Santa Barbara? These places right into here get hit hard with just a continuation of a surge of moisture. Look at that higher elevation snow adding up, feet of snow adding up. And then we get into tomorrow morning, and then we get kind of a break. And then these are the storms right into here. There's a slight risk of severe storms in the valley regions of California tomorrow. We'll actually zoom into that here in a second. But these storms tomorrow, guys, can produce tornadoes. It's a pretty rare setup that's kind of snuck up on us a little bit. I didn't even know, really hadn't even been paying attention to it much, but woke up to a slight risk for tomorrow. This is for tomorrow, getting into our Monday. But you see these storms right in here? There will be enough ingredients to promote a tornado threat in areas of Sacramento and surrounding regions right here in kind of the Central Valley region. You know, obviously not in San Francisco, just the way you sit and just your kind of microclimate area kind of stabilizes the air in that area. But once you get to like Sacramento, a legit severe weather threat tomorrow for sure. And you're just going to have storms. You know, it's going to be wild. It's going to be pretty crazy watching that tomorrow. But between now and the next 24 hours, several inches to feet of snow will add up in the Sierra Nevada, and even just getting it all the way out to Tuesday morning. I mean, a few feet at least in the Sierra Nevada. And then you're just going to add up several inches of snow across the central and northern Rockies, depending on your elevation. And then rainfall between now and the next 24 hours. Some of this is snow. Well, almost all of it's snow if you're higher up in the Sierra Nevada. But guys, I mean, you're going to get 2 to 3 inches of rain just in the next 24 hours along the central California coastline between LA and San Francisco. But, you know, you take this all the way out to about Wednesday morning, guys, calling for about 4 to 5 inches of rain. And, you know, when you get 5 to 6 inches of precipitation, you turn that into snow, that's going to be in the form of even several feet of snow in the Sierra Nevada. But a lot of rain in Northern California. And then eventually you see how this rain begins to sneak down into LA and San Diego. But I think this will happen more so down here into our Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. So, but just some individual graphics here. This is the National Weather Service out of, I think, Eureka is how you pronounce it. I know this is going to be pretty hard to see on your screen. I don't know why they make such a small graphic here, but, you know, Eureka's going for, you know, an inch, inch and a half. Fort Bragg, inch, inch and a half. The common theme in this graphic right here is about an inch to 2 inches of rain. Some areas will be favored for more rain right into here. So, sorry it's kind of small. Hopefully there's a way you can zoom in. Like I said, you know, all this is available it's free. It's just kind of tricky to find. It is, I'm not going to lie. Zooming into the San Francisco region, San Jose, Santa Cruz, you know, all these areas right in here. Hopefully you can read these graphics pretty clear, but you know, you got wind advisories up in these regions. It says sustained winds of 35 to around 40 miles per hour are expected below 900 feet. And then once you get, you could get gusts from 45 to 57 miles per hour, even at below 900 feet also. But once you get, you know, above 900 feet, you can get gusts as high as 45 to 70 miles per hour in these regions. It technically says 69 miles per hour. We'll just round it up to 70. But right now, just wind advisories. Okay, you know, it does talk about some things here like the timing and things like that. So I hope that helps you guys out. We'll kind of look at this. This is the high surf advisories for any surfers out here. But, you know, you definitely don't want to be up against or out in the waters, that's for sure. But, you know, got the high surf advisories in this region. And then we got the flood watches up for these regions right in here too, for these counties and these towns and cities in this region. So just always want to try to show you these graphics. And then we'll look at the National Weather Service. This is a little bit more blurry. I believe this is the National Weather Service out of Reno. But this talks a lot about the snow, guys. You know, for you folks to live in those higher elevations, these are the latest. This is the latest information. Well, this was actually issued last night, so there's probably going to be some new information about it. This probably hasn't changed a whole lot, but if you live in those higher elevations of the Sierra Nevada, this is a great graphic for you guys to check out right in here. But explains everything here as far as, you know, elevations, how much snow to expect depending on your elevation. So hopefully that helps you guys out. We'll get this off your screen, and yeah, that's pretty much it for that. And then we head on down here to the National Weather Service in Hanford. This also shows sections of the Sierra Nevada. It says winter storm warnings above 6,000 feet. So of course you got to get on up there. Snow accumulations, you know, from 3 to 5 feet above 7,000 feet. Total snow 1 to 3 feet from 6,000 feet to 7,000 feet. So obviously between that 6,000 and 7,000 foot range in the Sierra Nevada is kind of that transition area. And, you know, 1,000 feet makes a big difference out here. So it's a good graphic from that region. Let's see if they have anything else. There's the flood watches up for the valley regions where, you know, you're mostly going to just get rain down here, obviously. And then the wind advisories, there's a cool wind graphic from this region. If I'm going through this too fast, just pause the screen if you need to. Of course, I don't want to read word for word, or we'll be talking for, you know, a good hour in these videos. But this is what it's talking about in these regions. Hopefully you can see the town names in this graphic. And then it does already mention the chance for strong to severe storms. It's pretty wild, guys. You know, Stockton is in this, Modesto, then up to Sacramento. So we'll talk a little bit more about this in the next video ahead of what's going to happen tomorrow. But this, you don't see this much. It's not very common at all. And then this is projected precipitation as far as snow and rain. And guys, you're going to get a lot of snow up here. But I know these graphics are kind of hard to see. You got to really zoom in, put your bifocals on. National Weather Service out of Las Vegas. And it really just talks about those higher elevations. But the Eastern Sierra slopes above 6,000 feet. Winter storm warnings are issued. And you got to get above 8,000 feet in the White Mountains. 8 to 16 inches of snow above the Westgard Pass. I'm not familiar with that, but, you know, breaks it down here. 1 to 2 feet of snow up to 4 feet along the crest. So just trying to help you guys out, show you some cool graphics. I think this is important. And then the National Weather Service out of Los Angeles, I don't think they've updated this in about a day, but maybe I'm wrong. They just don't have, they typically, no, here it is. Last updated around 2 p.m. Pacific time out west. So yeah, this was updated, you know, a little under a day ago, but I don't think a lot's changed, honestly. But it shows a really good breakdown of what's possible depending on your location in this region for sure. So, you know, pause it if you need to, see if they have any other graphics. They do not. So, and then for you guys that are wondering how I get these graphics, this is a great, quick kind of educational thing here. Literally all I go, I mean, this is how I would do it. I would literally type in NWS watches and warnings. And then it'll bring you to a link that you can click on. It'll take you to this. And then you can literally just click anywhere on the map. For example, I'll go to where I live, right? This is where I live. It's a National Weather Service in Columbia. And then it'll show some graphics. Of course, there's nothing really going on in my neck of the woods today, so there's no real graphics to pull up. But that's how I find all these graphics, guys. But the National Weather Service out of San Diego, there's not really, I mean, this is a good graphic, but there's nothing really breaking it down like the other ones. But this just depends on where you are located. Kind of gives you a timeline and impact risk level and what to expect in those kind of time slots. So, you know, pause the screen if you need to here. There's not really any other graphics. Talks about high temperatures, and then it talks about precipitation between Monday and Tuesday. It looks like San Diego going for about a 1/2 inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain between basically pretty much for late Monday into Tuesday night. And then it looks like a little bit more for LA. I don't think I had one pulled up for LA. Let's see if I can. I think I already had one up. Yeah, we already pulled that up. So that's it for that range. You know, I will show you this. There is that slight risk of severe thunderstorms. See this yellow? This is typically stuff we see in the middle of the country in the eastern U.S., but we have a slight risk up for severe thunderstorms in California. And this is driven off a tornado threat, guys. There is a 5%, there's a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location in the Valley region right in here. Sacramento being right in the middle of it. It's pretty wild, guys. Hail threat, there's just no ingredients for that. Wind threat, there is a 5% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. So it's pretty wild stuff, guys. We don't see that often. So this will be a heavy topic in the weather world, I think. You're starting to get well above freezing now in these areas that, got several inches of snow across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, so you'll get a lot of snow melt today. It's a chilly day across the South, below average temperatures expected, but just by a few degrees. Chilly day across the Northeast. A lot of areas will not get above freezing. And, it's pretty nice across the middle of the country. Getting back to above average temperatures all the way up here into the upper Midwest, the great the north central U.S., the upper Midwest, places like that. And then, you're going to get all the way into the 50s, all the way up into areas of Wyoming, Montana, pretty wild stuff. And then you're above average temperature-wise in the western U.S. Just in general, this is a much warmer system. You got to get on up there. That's why the snow levels are so high. You got to get on up there to get appreciable snowfall from this. But in general, it's above average temperature-wise out west. Kind of talk about what's to come, guys. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. What could have been with this system down here, right? I mean, we have a lot of moisture. We have enough cold air on top. But I guess it's just too scared to come north, and it just isn't. This heads on off. We say bye to that. Finally get rid of this rainy time period we've been dealing with Florida. Enter a little bit of a quieter period in the central and eastern U.S. We will watch a system, that same system that will continue to move across the Rockies. And then we'll watch a warmer system that'll kind of scoot across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, as we're getting into our Thursday, into our Friday. This could bring a little bit of snow for the interior Northeast. But, guys, I mean, honestly, that is that storm that we showed you yesterday morning. And now it's just kind of a strung out, not impressive storm. There is a piece of northern stream energy that flies down next weekend, about 6 days from now. I'm sorry, guys. But this could deliver some snow for the southern Appalachian Mountains, could deliver kind of a quick shot of snow. And who knows, this could do something kind of tricky for the Southeast and in the Mid-Atlantic, but, I'm not holding my breath for it at all. So we will watch this little piece of energy that flies down the base of this trough right in here. And then after that, we start to get into no man's land. It starts to get pretty far out, but a lot of people are talking about this system, especially the severe weather fans, because I don't know if you guys know in the weather community, there's people like me that I don't enjoy severe weather. I like chasing severe weather, but I don't pull for the worst case scenario to happen just because I want to see a tornado. But I do chase severe weather. But, you got a lot of severe weather fans, thunderstorm fans, and then you got a lot of winter weather fans. And then you got a criteria of people that only care about the tropics. And you got people like me that enjoys all weather. But there's a lot of people in the kind of the severe weather fan group of the weather community that are really watching this next storm that's going to move in early next week. This could be a big storm system for the western U.S. It could become a big topic for sure. Look at all that energy out west. And this could be a system where the snow levels will be much lower, but this is a lot of moisture out west. This could be a big topic for my folks out west for sure. And then what's going to happen with the low? Is it going to eject across the northern portion of the country? Is it going to eject across kind of a little bit further south? This is a big question. But, we're going to stop it here. I almost showed you guys a little bit too far out. This is 10 days out, 240 hours out. This is about early next week, early to midway next week. We got a pretty strong low about to eject across the middle of the country. And we might introduce a pattern with some sort of severe weather. But we look at the Vort map here. You can see a lot of pieces of energy kind of flying around as we get into next week. There's some energy right here, I'm saying next week, I mean this week now, because we are at Sunday. There's some energy right here, energy right there. Now, just because you see energy, that doesn't mean it reflects in the form of rain or snow. You really need to be kind of amped up. Then a big trough dives down into the eastern U.S. It's probably going to provide a pretty chilly weekend for next weekend. And we could have some energy that rounds the base of this trough and does something, maybe, in the eastern U.S. We have to watch the trends of this. And then after that, we watch a big ridge that kind of bubbles up in the middle of the country. This is going to bring well above average temperatures for the middle of the country. And then a trough out west, and we could have a big storm system because of this dip in the trough that begins to move right into here. And this is the big area of energy you got to watch out west for sure. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. I know a lot of people say don't apologize, don't apologize. I'm not necessarily apologizing for the messiness of the video, but I'm kind of back. I don't know if you guys remember a few months back where I was struggling with the videos in the mornings, and it seems like I always have just a lot of like mucus that comes up. I'll just be straight up with you guys. I know it sounds nasty. Mucus that comes up in my throat when I'm talking in the mornings. I don't know why. It only does it in the mornings, but it kind of lasts about a week or so, and then it just goes away. But of course, when I'm talking, it's just kind of coming up more and more when I'm talking. So that's why the words get kind of jumbled up, because I'm focusing in on trying to clear my throat and then talk at the same time, and kind of balancing both kind of makes you get a bunch of tongue twisters going on. But so if it's been messy the last couple videos and you guys have noticed, do apologize. But I'm not necessarily a perfectionist, but I definitely, you always want to make sure you're talking clear to the public and all those good things. But thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for being patient with that. I won't have a video this evening, guys. I've just been kind of taking a break, honestly. I'll be honest. Yesterday was the first day in a while that, I just kind of put down my phone for an extended period of time. I didn't really focus too much on the weather. Sometimes you just look at it too much, and it gets to the point where you just gotta, take a couple steps back from it a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, it's been exhausting hoping and having wishful thinking for snow and winter weather across the southeast, and you don't even get close enough to even bring it in or track it. So I guess when you get so tunnel visioned on that, it doesn't work out. It's not that you're turned off from weather by any means, but you just need a little break. So just been kind of taking a break in these evening videos and just kind of enjoying myself at night. But anyways, I'm kind of rambling at this point. God bless all y'all. You guys have a great Sunday, and I'll talk to you again Monday morning.